A WCNC Charlotte investigation found local police departments have collected all.
But unfortunately, the news, while not breaking, it is continuing. So far in 2024, Kias and Hyundais account for 70% of all cars that are stolen. The problem is not dwindling, and it's not going to go away without some real change. So that's where today's announcement comes in. CMPD is pleased to be partnering with Hyundai as they host a multi-day drive-through clinic here in Charlotte to provide a real solution to some of these cars being stolen. It's going to be a 3-day event beginning next week. That's Friday, February 23rd, and it's going to run Friday, Saturday, and conclude on Sunday, the 25th. It'll be held at P&Z Music Pavilion, located at 707 Pavilion Boulevard, which is in Northeast Charlotte. Owners of affected Hyundai vehicles can bring their vehicle to this drive-through event and have anti-theft technology installed on the vehicle, thus eliminating the deficiency in the current ignition mechanism as it stands right now. This service is done by Hyundai service technicians. It's free of charge. No registration is required. No appointment is required, and this prevents an owner from having to go to a dealership to have this done. The installation takes about 30 minutes to complete, and owners will also be given a free steering wheel lock by Hyundai if they need one so desire. So Hyundai has hosted events like this in cities across the United States. It's been very successful. They're trying to chip away at the nearly 4 million affected Hyundai vehicles that fall into this category. So we're excited to bring this event to Charlotte so that residents and our community have the opportunity to properly secure their vehicle from theft. CMPD is asking for your help, our media partners, in getting this message out to the public. The installation of this technology, we feel, is going to be one of the major solutions to chipping away at this problem. Of course, until a mechanism is installed on the vehicle to prevent it, they remain susceptible to these types of theft. So just a couple things before I wrap up this part. Remember, not all Hyundais are affected by this issue. The affected cars are various models between year ranges 2011 to 2022. Specifically, this is not applicable if it's a push-button start vehicle. It's really only applicable if it's one of these affected cars and has an actual turnkey ignition to it. This event is designed as a quick and easy way, again, to complement the work that Hyundai has done in their dealerships, and this service does remain available in Hyundai dealerships. This is just an event to streamline it, make it a little bit easier, hopefully quicker, and provide another opportunity to the community. Again, just as a recap, this event will be at P&Z Music Pavilion from the 23rd until Sunday the 25th. The hours for Friday and Saturday will be 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And on Sunday, the hours will be 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Again, it's free of charge, and that's one thing we can't stress enough. So CMPD will be pushing this information out on our social media channels over the course of the next week. And we'll also have a joint press conference with Hyundai the day before, which will be Thursday. And that's planned to be up at PNC Music Pavilion also. So we hope to see you there. Any questions?
Do they need to bring like any kind of proof of insurance or anything like that?
No proof of insurance. Bring the vehicle itself. It can be owned. It can be leased. As long as they're the rightful owner, they can bring it up there. Again, it's a drive-through service. They've done this in other cities, so we've seen photographs of that. Maybe y'all have too, but they have tents. They're heated. It's my understanding, heated and cooled, so it's a nice, comfortable environment.
Hyundai and Kia owners, or specifically?
So it's a good question. This is just Hyundai cars for this event.
And once that's installed, it's not a problem at all then?
Right. Yeah. So that's the encouraging news here, is that this is a fix. That's what Hyundai is communicating to us, is that this is a fix to the issue. Software is installed that is effectively in ignition, killing the ignition while the vehicle's off. Yeah. And nothing else on that?
Do we have any contacts with Hyundai locally that maybe you can put us in touch with? Anybody,
Yeah, I'm not sure about locally. The folks that we're working with, are national. They run nationally. There is a There is a website that is open and available. Let me just confirm this really quick. It's HyundaiAntiTheft.com. HyundaiAntiTheft.com. That website has a lot of information on it. It's not specific to this event, but it's related to this issue as a whole. It does list the affected vehicle year, make, models on there. All right, we can move on to whatever else y'all have.
Quick question. Obviously Charlotte had 3 homicides in about 12 hours on Wednesday into Thursday morning. What message do you have to the community about that?
About the 3 homicides. So, you know, it's tragic that these incidents occur. We understand when people tune in, whether it's to our social media or to traditional media, excuse me, and they see these incidents and that it's a cause for concern, and we understand that from our residents, and we understand the need or the appetite from our media partners for more information. Generally speaking, most of these incidents are not random acts of violence, and that hopefully should be encouraging to some people in our community. It doesn't lessen the fact that they occur. Again, we're talking about human life here. We talk about this quite often. The sanctity of human life, we believe in that here in this police department strongly, and so these are concerning to us, and we're putting all the resources that we have at our disposal into investigating them.
Kind of 2-part question connected with that. Was the scene on Tuckasegee Road connected to the homicide on Little Rock Road Wednesday afternoon? And if so, how was it connected? And if not, what was the scene on Tuckasegee Road?
All of that is still under investigation. There's a lot of moving parts. The Little Rock Road homicide that you're making the connection to Tuckasegee, that what we were there investigating pieces that were related to the calls for service that we got on Little Rock. I'm not in a position to say whether that fully came to fruition or not.
So it's still being investigated?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And just going off of his question, how can communities better strengthen themselves or be more active in trying to fight this gun problem that is in this community?
Well, I think that we have, I think that when we see these incidents, the issue is the lack of care for other human life. Again, it goes back to what I just said. You know, if we continue to see situations, regardless of which community it happens in, regardless of necessarily even the frequency of it, where people are willing to pull out a gun and shoot another person for, let's call it no reason, then that is a problem. That's a societal problem that we see, whether it's a gun or otherwise. And until our society has mutual respect for each other and the respect for human life, unfortunately, we may still continue to see these.
Were any of those homicides connected to one another?
I'm not aware of that.
Are there any updates on those homicides?
There are no updates other than what we have pushed out. Yesterday, I believe, we pushed out some more. There was, of course, an arrest made in the Steel Creek case. I believe Country House Street, I believe that was the location of that. There was an arrest made in that one. And
That was with the person of interest then? I think there was...
that night, we took a person into custody nearby that was a person of interest, and that person has been charged in that case.
I have a question. I sent a bunch of questions about the incident on January 23rd, 2024, where one person was transported with a gunshot wound to the hospital. That person is alleging that it was a CMPD officer-involved shooting. Has CMPD initiated an investigation into that allegation that the officer shot the person?
I saw your question. I appreciate you sending that in. Unequivocally, this was not an officer-involved shooting. This was not an officer-involved shooting.
How did you folks come to that?
We have looked at it and come to the conclusion that it was not an officer-involved shooting. Not only was it not an officer-involved shooting, but the officers in that case that were on that scene performed phenomenally and applied life-saving care to the person who was shot. Were calm, professional, and did a fantastic job.
So how was it there a bullet casing that was recovered?
Yeah, I think that, for what I just said is going to be the extent of what we have for that
The
one.
person has requested the video and it's been
Okay.
denied.
That's not something that CMPD has involvement in. That's something that happens through the courts.
Yeah,
Okay.
they denied it too. So
Okay.
they're saying that their rights are being violated because the proof that would show she's only got, and she believes that.
Yeah, so the last thing on this topic is I would refer that person back to the courts.
I'm bringing it back to a shooting with Nathan Martin. I know it has been, I think we just got the report that said it was a homicide. It was also like he's facing sexual assault charges and et cetera. The shooting happened in his home. And I'm just trying to, if you could kind of break down anything as far as like what you guys know about the shooting in general. Putting the picture together as far as sexual assault and the...
Yeah, I understand the appetite for information on this. I don't have anything more than what we have said in the past here. So we responded to that homicide on that evening. During the course of that investigation, there were allegations of a sex assault that occurred. So we investigated those allegations, and that led to the arrest of Nathan Martin. I don't have any other updates.
What guidance as far as the newly approved criminal penalties with public urination, defecation, drinking? What kind of guidance is CMPD giving officers about how to handle those incidents?
Sure, we'll be working through that over the next couple of weeks. Of course, those the recriminalization of those ordinances goes into effect on March 1st. So we're still working through those steps. But overall, our message has been clear. Chief Jennings issued a statement a couple days ago following the city council vote where they approved the recriminalization, and that is arrest and enforcement is not our first move. It's not our top priority. Of course, education, voluntary compliance are going to be first steps. If there are underlying issues that we feel need to be addressed, and there could be resources that could be brought to bear that will benefit that person or in whatever situation, then certainly we're going to do that. The having the tool of arrest is, we feel, important though. That's why we supported this the recriminalization of these ordinances. But certainly that's a last resort.
Any idea about how much or how many arrests you could see from those new penalties?
I don't know. I don't have an answer there, but I do know that when we were working through this entire process, which has been nearly 3 years in the making, when we go back to the General Assembly changing it in 2021, we've heard from our community, and we understand that there's support and opposition, and we understand that, but we heard from our community in the issues that they've raised, the things that they have communicated to us, and so we know that there is at least some appetite out there for law enforcement to have this tool. How many that's going to translate into reality, I don't know, but we feel it's important to at least have the option.
And with that, one of the concerns, or some of the big concerns, is that it targets the homeless population. We had an interview, or we spoke to Gary McFadden, and he talked about like that will put a bigger burden because more people will be charged and arrested and put in detention centers, and that'll be a bigger burden on deputies and et cetera. So what would you say on that? And then also when we're looking at more, let's just say if the concern of targeting homeless folks or so forth, more resources in the way you would deal with that. Any thought about like dealing with that population, I guess?
Yeah, I want to definitely clarify, and you're, I don't think, making this allegation, but just in the terms of targeting homeless, that's certainly not something that CMPD is going to be a part of. We envision that most of the time this is going to be in response to calls for service that we get. There certainly will be no targeting of any individuals or groups. We have a number of different resources that we can utilize to provide resources to people. CARES team, which is a city program, and others. So again, providing resources and providing solutions to root causes is going to be the top priority when we face these issues.
Switching gears to what happened on Wednesday at the Super Bowl parade in Kansas City. Can you talk a little bit about, obviously, what CMPD does to help prevent situations of that nature, one, and two, with the St. Patrick's Day coming up, we're literally right around the corner, has CMPD maybe altered their way they will proceed with security as a result of what happened at the Super Bowl parade.
Certainly, and our hearts go out to those in Kansas City that are affected by this, to include their law enforcement there and public safety. When it comes to events in Charlotte, Chief spoke to this after New Year's. You know, New Year's Eve there was a shooting in Ramir Bearden Park, and you know, and I'll echo his words at the time. You know, Charlotte as a whole, we need to decide what kind of events we want to have. Anytime you have an open event that's wide open, maybe it encompasses all of uptown, for example, people are going to be freely coming in, and there's no way to check people, wand people to ensure that they don't have firearms. Really, I would say the only way to do that is to have a very controlled area, fenced, limit ingress, wand people, check people to ensure that they don't have weapons of any kind. And that's a difficult process. That's very intensive. I'm not saying that that's not going to be the case in any event, but that's the type of question that Charlotte needs to make a decision on, kind of what kind of events that we want to have. From a police department standpoint, it's important for us to evaluate each event. We have an intel unit that looks into events before they happen, and of course we have a special events unit who plan our response to these. And one of the things is ensuring that we have adequate staffing, not only in number, but in where we're focusing in the right areas, and we have the right resources at any given event.
As far as, just a quick follow-up, as far as the St. Patrick's Day parade, anything different that you will be doing at this parade, or planning still in the works, or?
Planning is still in the works. I don't have anything to preview on that specifically.
On top of having like a certain amount of people and et cetera, is there any specific training or things that you make sure to have together or that you go over and so forth when you have big events like that?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. We train quite a bit, whether it's active shooter training that we do, and if we think about an active shooter, a typical active shooter, the response is the same. It's designed to be the same, whether it's indoors or outdoors, whether it's at a church, a school, a mall, or a parade. And that is law enforcement recognizing the need, gunshots being fired, and moving to that threat to eliminate it, to stop it. And so that is the response. That's the training that we have. Again, regardless of the specific setting that it occurs in, that's the training that we have, and that here in Charlotte is what's going to happen.
And the last question on it, sorry. Obviously we don't want folks to be going to these events and be scared and so forth,
Yeah.
but they should be aware, alert, and so forth.
Sure.
So what is your message to folks going to these events, just so they can have the safest time, but also be aware?
Sure, absolutely. Know where you are and where you're going. Some folks coming to Uptown may not be familiar with Uptown. So map out ahead of time, where are you going to park? What does the event footprint look like, to the best of your ability? Where are you? Where's your final destination? For example, if you're going to, if there's fireworks and you're going to a specific location to watch those, know those things ahead of time and map it out as good as you can. General situational awareness, knowing what's going on around you, and not being alone. Those are the types of things that we would say to look out for. And then we think that de-escalation is an important part of this. Conflict resolution. We have no way to predict. Oftentimes, if somebody chooses to go to an event, are they going to bump into somebody, even relatively innocuously, something that might then escalate? And de-escalation and conflict resolution is an important part of that, if something like that were to happen.
Has wanding come up as something that CMPD thinks may be a good way to handle big events, or something that it wants to bring up with city officials to consider?
Yeah, I don't have anything specific on that. I think a lot of these decisions don't necessarily lie with CMPD. It can kind of be done and strategized at a city level. And so I don't have any information specifically on wanding.
How many officers normally work like the St. Patrick's Day parade or a parade of that nature?
I don't have an answer on that. Yeah.
And that actually leads to a question. Recruitment-wise, how is CMP doing with recruitment, and do you feel they have enough officers? Because clearly people want CMPD to do more. How's that looking?
Sure. Yeah. Recruitment, of course, is something that we've talked about quite a bit, and something that we've put a lot of effort into. It's one of Chief Jennings' priorities, and it has been for a couple of years. So we've made a lot of strides there. Of course, we started our largest class ever back in October, which is a big step for us, and really probably for any police department in this country during this time, because we know there's challenges across the country. So we appear to be on a good trajectory for that, and we feel like we're trending in a positive direction.
There was an OIS, I'm thinking last Thursday, where there's some Biddy's Ford Road, and one of the men was shot and so forth, but the family's claiming like the men had like mental health issues, or there was some mental health concerns there. I don't know if this is something like, you guys are told on the phone or knew or anything like that. Is there any detailed information about how you go approaching situations when there is an arrest with someone dealing with mental health? And then any details in this case as far as what you knew about mental health and if there was a concern here before the arrest or before?
Yeah, so I don't have anything specific on this case, but let's talk in general. Mental health concerns are something that we run across and deal with frequently. We do have resources in place. Many of our officers are trained in CIT, or CIT trained, and then we of course have our CPCRT team and that team pairs an officer and a mental health clinician together, and they respond to scenes like this. Of course, when an incident happens in the blink of an eye, and a weapon is presented to an officer, that completely changes everything. The presence of a weapon, especially when it's pulled out, completely changes everything. And so we do everything that we can to bring mental health resources to bear in every situation that we possibly can. Unfortunately, that is not necessarily a reality every single time.
If you are a family member, you're calling police, and you do have a person who's struggling and so forth. They may have a weapon, etc. How do they handle it with calling police, contact the information they need to tell you, and just handling this situation in general?
So in a situation like that, we have time. We have time on our side, and that's the difference in a situation where we don't have time. And so in a situation like that, we ask that person that's calling 911 to communicate all this information ahead of time to the 911 operator, which then will get us being able to activate resources, appropriate resources, when we have time on our side in a situation like that.
I know you say you don't have much information on that case, but do you know if the internal investigation's been completed, and is that officer back out working?
I do not have information on that.
Do they have those resources available 24 hours? Because someone said they're only like on duty from 7 to 3 that help with mental health or de-escalation.
Sure, we'll always have CIT officers working, and we always will have at least people on call, and whether that's our CPCRT folks or other folks that we work with. Yeah. Anything else?
Any update on the turquoise homicide several weeks ago?
No, sir, I do not have an update on that. Okay, thank you all. Appreciate it. Hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are you planning on putting a press release on the partnership?
Yes, so we'll hopefully have something go out today, something initial at least, on our social media, and then we're going to do the press conference next week on Thursday.
Okay,
too.
got it.
But yeah, we'd love some help to really amplify this.
Maybe you've seen them in your friend's car or have your own. They're called bling rings, and they go around your ignition. But some claim putting these rings on your car can actually lead to bigger mechanical problems down the road. Our Megan Bragg checks it out in this morning's Verify.
Car just turns on, then turns off afterward. Oh, that's why. Don't put these stupid bling rings on your car.
TikToks and even these X posts claim car bling rings like these, which can go around your ignition switch, can prevent your car from starting up. So the question, can these bling rings interfere with the operation of your vehicle? Let's verify. Our sources, David Underkoffler, editor-in-chief at Autolist, and Honda.
If your key it's a turn key, you're still putting the key into the ignition and turning it. There is an anti-theft system likely in that car and in that key, and putting that ring around there may actually interfere with the communication from the key to the anti-theft systems.
The TikTok video we showed you earlier is a Honda